Okay, so for this video, we're going to look at problems in worksheet number 2. This is all about simplifying radicals. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we simplified in chapter 4. We have a square root of 12. We broke it down to 4 and 3, and that ended up with 4 times 3 is still 12, and it's okay to split the 12 up like this. And so if we take the square root of 4, we get 2 square root of 3. Now, also we talked about that the square root of x squared is just going to be x. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we put all of the 2 in all the radicals, because we're going to be using cube roots and fourth roots. So we want to make sure that we specify what root we're talking about. Okay, so now we have a square root of 8x cubed. Now this is where this worksheet is different. So what I'm looking at is how do I split up the variable? So I've got an x squared here, but then I'm going to put another x. Notice that both of these x's, I've got an x squared and an x, which still makes x cubed. So it's okay to break this up like this. It was just the same thing I was doing with 4 and 3 when I did the 12. And so basically I've got the square root of x squared, which we just talked about, that's x. And then I have the leftover, which cannot be simplified. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it inside the radical, and this is going to be my answer, x square root of x. Okay, so let's talk about one more rule that we're going to use for this worksheet. For instance, if I have the 2 square root of 45, then I'm going to have 2 square root of 9 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 4 square root of 5. Notice that I broke up all my numbers. This is something that we did in the last chapter. So we have like 45, we break up 9 and 5. We have 20, we break it up to 4 and 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and simplify. Okay, so the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 4 is 2. And so I have 2 times 3 is, square root of 5 is just 6 the square root of 5. And then 3 times 2 is going to be 6 the square root of 5. And let's just look at that real quick. So there's my square root of 9. So here's 6 square root of 5. And then 6 square root of 5. Okay, so I have 12 the square root of 5. All right, now the only way I can add those is if both of the radicals, or the number underneath the radical, is the same. Okay, if you can't, you're just going to have to leave it the way it is. All right, so here we're going to do number 3 from the worksheet. Okay. In the first, one of the first videos that we did, we talked about all the different roots that you might want to memorize for this chapter. In this case, I thought, okay, 162, let's try a small number. And so I went with, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So I tried dividing 162 by 27, and I got a whole number, which was 6, which is what I want. So I left the negative with the 27 here, because the cube root of negative 27 is going to be negative 3. We are not going to have any imaginary numbers in this chapter. So I've got a negative 3 with a cube root of 6. I can't break down the 6, so I'm going to leave it inside of the radical. All right, so let's look at the next problem. Let's try number 7. Okay, number 7 is the 5th root of 224 r to the 7th. All right, now, again, I'm going to just try small numbers at first. So, especially something that's the 5th root. The 5th root is a number times itself 5 times. Well, 2 times itself 5 times, 2 to the 5th, okay, is 32. So I am going to take the 5th root of 32, which is going to be 2. Okay, now just by chance I went in and I said, okay, what is 224 divided by 32? And I did get a whole number, which is what I want, so I just broke it up to 7. 32 and 7 still make 224. And then I'm going to break up the r's. Okay, so I've got the fifth root of r to the fifth and the fifth root of r squared. See, my point is, or my purpose is to get this fifth root of r to the fifth broken up so that I can just take this r out because I know this is just r. Okay, if I have something left, then I have to write it right here. So what I've done is I still have r to the 7th. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So the fifth root of 32 is 2, and I have the 7 is left over. I'm going to go ahead and take the r out, and notice this is where I'm writing it, in the front. Okay, I know that I no longer have to have that r underneath the radical because I had 5 of them. The fifth root of something is looking for 5 of something. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the r squared inside the radical. So my answer is 2r fifth root of 7r squared. All right, here's another one. Let's try number 21. The fourth root of 48 minus the 4 times the fourth root of 243 plus 2 times the fourth root of 80. Okay, so 48, I know 2 to the fourth is 16, so I can take the fourth root of 16. I know that 3 to the fourth is 81, so I could take the fourth root of 81. And I'm just looking for what I would have left over. And then the fourth root of 16 again, if I take the fourth root of 16, I'll have a 5 left over, so I'm going to leave the 5 inside the radical. Okay. All right, the fourth root of 16 is 2. And the fourth root of 81 is 3, so I'm taking all these out, and I'm leaving whatever was left. And the fourth root of 16 is 2. Okay, notice that I have a fourth root of 16, so I put the 2 right here. I bring this 4 down, and I know that this is all multiplication right here, so this fourth root of 81, I have to multiply 4 times 3. And the fourth root of 81 is 3, so that's why that 3 is there. Then I bring this 2 down right here, and this fourth root of 16 is 2, so I bring the 2 down right there. This is multiplication, so I'm going to have to multiply those. Okay, that's going to be a 12. Notice that these are fourth roots of 3, so that's a like term. So I'm going to go 2 minus 12 is negative 10, fourth root of 3. That's that piece there. So now I just have 2 times 2 is 4, and so I have the fourth root of 5. Okay, here's the thing. I can't add a fourth root of 3 and the fourth root of 5. I cannot do it, so this is going to have to be my final answer. Okay, why don't you go ahead and try worksheet number 2 with just using the processes and notes that I've given you here. And if you have any questions, if you stumble upon one that you're not sure about, let me know. All right, thank you for watching.